What's going on, Blues? Welcome back to Life as an Evertonian Blues. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please feel free to do so. Click that bell to turn on post notifications. So you'll be notified every time I upload a video. This is our final summary of Everton beating Mansfield last night in the League Cup at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. A very controlled performance last night. I think it's the type of game that I expected. I think a lot of us expected. When you're playing against, and this is no disrespect at all to Mansfield, but when you're playing against a team of that nature from the lower leagues, they come with a plan to have a low block, make it difficult for us to break them down and to possibly, catch us on the counter attack, work hard on set pieces that they may get. And it was one of those where Everton just needed to stay patient. We could have found ourselves 1-0 up with a chance from Alcaraz, which was a great save. There was another chance where Harrison Armstrong should have squared it to Tieno Barry. And that was probably, in terms of big chances created in that first half, they were the main two. When you look at the squad as a whole and the team selection that David Moyes fielded, we were very happy to see both fullbacks in Seamus Coleman and Nikolenko on that pitch. And I honestly think both of them, albeit at a lower opposition, played really, really well. Seamus, to be honest, he surprised me. His energy levels, the tempo that he was playing at, the press that he was doing, trying to get forward. And Mikolenko as well was really working well with Jack Grealish. Jack moving into different pockets in the centre of midfield, allowing Mikolenko to really push on, and he got some decent balls whipped into the box. So we had to stay patient. I would have thought, personally, I'd have thought Tarky would have been rested last night. Listen, I know he's fully recovered from the hamstring and stuff, but I just thought a little bit of pressure would have been took off him, and we would have seen Jake O'Brien playing his preferred centre-back role alongside Michael Keane. We haven't got many options, and fair play. They've decided to rest Jake O'Brien. He has been playing week in, week out in that right back area. So really good that both fullbacks, especially Seamus, getting on. He played the 90 minutes. So really, really positive. Moving into midfield, obviously Jimmy Gardner slotted into his preferred central role as that 6. For me, I love Jimmy. I've always rated him. Anybody who comes from Man United's academy at that level where he was at, he's going to be a baller, And Jimmy, for me, I think he's growing and maturing all the time. Very clever, great range of passing, forever improving. And, he can hit one. We saw that against Brighton. And I think he's got a wand in him as well in terms of set piece. On his day, he can be very, very good and acute on his set pieces. So, very controlled performance from Jimmy. We saw Alcaraz adopting as a number 10, which for me, and I think for all us Evertonians, we prefer him in a central role. When he's out wide on that right, I don't know, it just feels a little bit wasted, and he comes in too narrow all the time. He just don't feel natural to him to being out wide on that right. And he scored a lovely goal. I didn't really give him much credit last night in in my instant match review. Obviously sometimes when you've just seen the game, you've been to the game, you're trying to dissect everything that's happened. But it were a really, really nice finish. And obviously moving on to Harrison Armstrong, that cements why his performance, for me, why he should be around this Everton squad this season. You could tell, obviously, he's improved from going out on loan at Derby. And I don't know, we don't know the numbers that Everton are going to be bring in these next few days in the transfer window. We've seen today that we're linked or rumoured to put a bid in for Florentino Luis from Benfica, Portuguese international, 26 years of age, holding centre mid. Obviously to emulate Idrissa Gana Gueye, that type of midfielder. So we'll see if there's any more news coming on that. But they're the rumours that Everton have put in a bid there from the Portuguese media outlets. But for me, Harrison Armstrong controlled that midfield alongside Jimmy, alongside Alcaraz. And he managed to get obviously 2 assists. The first one, decent in the box, really composed, no panic. Pulled it back to Alcaraz and he side footed it right in the side net, predominantly aiming for the top bin. So really, really good. He could have had 3 assists, to be honest. Really nice through ball from Jimmy Gardner. And, he was out on the left-hand side, cut it back, and Beto scored a tap in. Moving on to the right-hand side, we started over there. We had Dwight McNeil, who, I don't know, Dwight just couldn't really get going last night. I'm not going to say he looked disinterested or I don't know. I just think I thought last season, can he adopt this right wing position and cutting in on his left peg? And obviously Dwight again set pieces and a wonderful left foot that he's got. We know that when he hits one, and he's got it in his locker. And I thought maybe on that right hand side he can use and utilize that. But he's just too left footed for me over on that right. He's better as a 10, or he's better on the left hand side, whipping balls into the box. But yeah, I just thought he was poor last night and couldn't really get going. But I've already skirted over Jack Grealish on the left. You could see last night he weren't just out wide offering himself and making Everton much wider. He was playing in the pockets and trying to inject different things in that final third with intricate passing and getting on the ball and looking for that through ball, which allowed Mikalenko to push on. So the balance of the team looked good. It looked like it was trying to create. It was trying to, mold different types of play. And it was one of those where it was Mansfield made it difficult to break down, but we did enough. You're looking at teams like Leeds United getting knocked out. You're looking at teams like Man United getting knocked out last night by Grimsby. It's not easy. The League Cup isn't easy, just like the FA Cup. And when a game isn't open and there's a team obviously they're sitting back and trying to make it difficult, it can be hard to break these teams down, especially if you don't get a goal early. If you get a good goal early, they have to come out chasing a little bit. But we did enough in that second half. It's a game of two halves, isn't it, at the end of the day? And it was just a controlled, solid performance. Tieno Barry, he could have had a goal if, Harrison Armstrong would have squared it to him. He was in a good position. You could tell he's trying things that aren't really pulling off yet, but sometimes he looks like he's got a great first touch, and then sometimes he doesn't. But listen, the lad's raw, the lad's new. He's just moved to this country. He's 22 years of age, and I believe there's a player in there. I really do. Obviously, Beto came on, injected a little bit more tempo in that as that striker. He got his goal. Beto, he looks a little bit frustrated at the minute. A little bit anxious, a little bit. You can tell it. You can tell in his demeanour. I'm not saying he's angry or anything, but you can tell there's a little bit of a chip there on that shoulder. And he needs to just build his confidence, get his confidence up. End of the day, he's put that number 9 shirt on this season. Everton have given it him, and he's got to lead by example, and he's got to try and hit the ground running. He just needs a goal, and he got his goal last night in the League Cup, and we've just got to keep the faith. There's goals in Beto. he showcased that last season, linking up with Alcaraz. We saw flashes of Tyler Diblin. For me, when he came on, that right hand side balance just improved significantly. I love how he tugs the flank. I love how he comes inside. I love how he shows for the ball. You know, he tells players where he wants the ball. He just makes space constantly. And I love that, you know. So we've got ourselves a footballer there, Blues. I firmly believe that. We've got somebody there who's going to excite us. Um, and you know, he's a really good signing for us. Um, so Blues, you know, changes were made. Timmy Raburum came on. There was squad rotation toward the end of the game. Everton just did enough. We controlled from start to finish. Um, Hill Dickinson Stadium, lovely to see it packed, albeit there were still some seats. Obviously we were announcing that it's a sellout and stuff, but there is still some corporate seats that are showcasing about here and there. It is what it is. So Blues, let me know your thoughts. I'm really looking forward to weekend. It's going to be a tough game. Obviously, we've got Wolverhampton Wanderers in the League Cup in the next round. We've got to really, really invest into this week League Cup and go for it. Honestly, I really feel Everton have got a good chance. We've got a good chance. We've never won it. Got to make the cup a priority. The league for us, we're not going to be down there this season. I believe that. We're going to be in the top half. I firmly believe that. How high, I don't know yet, but we're going to be winning enough games at Hill Dickinson. We're going to be picking up enough points away from home. I just feel that. There's still days left in this transfer window. We know we need a right back. We know we need another striker. And I think we were linked with one as well today from Millwall. I think we've been linked with him previously. And me personally, I go for Jamie Vardy. I'm just saying. I know there's some Evertonians, no, stay away. I just see it as a no-brainer, personally. But, in Moyes we trust. It's Everton who make these decisions, and we us as fans just having an opinion. So, Blues, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to produce my pre-match review tomorrow. Any breaking news that's concrete, significant breaking news in terms of transfers, I'll be producing the content on that. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click that bell to turn on post notifications. Up the toffees. And I'll see you in the next one.